Good morning, greetings friends, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health and vitality and well-being and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body, you are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 31 years of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, acne, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds, recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system, it's a regenerating system, it is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And while some folks may call that healing, renewing, regenerating system a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health or nutrition or prescription drugs, we are here for you on The Bright Side. We welcome your phone calls. 844-236-6010 is our number. If you have questions about the longevity products, longevity business, health challenges you or a loved one may be dealing with, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we can help you do that. 844-236-6010 is our number. If you have questions about formulations, ingredients, if you have a success story you'd like to share, or if you just want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number on The Bright Side. If you want to purchase any of the longevity products you hear advertised or recommended on the program, or if you'd like to join the Bright Side Ben team, if you're an entrepreneur or you like the entrepreneur lifestyle, if you want to work out of your home and make your own hours, enjoy all the tax benefits associated with having your own business, please join the Bright Side Ben team by calling the phone team at 866-735-2470 for a one-time $25 fee. You can start a longevity business, earn thank you checks, and help spread the word about the power and importance of a good nutritional supplement program. You can also get your products at the wholesale price if that's what you'd like to do. Offer a one-time $25 fee. Call 866-735-2470 for more information. You can also sign up to join the Bright Side Ben team or purchase longevity products off our websites, brightsideben.com, criticalhealthnews.com, and pharmacistben.com. Got blog stories, news, blog posts, news stories, as well as videos, and all the longevity products at brightsideben.com, criticalhealthnews.com, and pharmacistben.com. Also would like to remind you to check out our Truth Skin Health products. We've got free shipping for the month of July on all our Truth Skin Health products, Truth Balm, Truth Serum, Truth Retinol 5% Gel, and our Truth Omega 6 Healing Cream. If you're dealing with accelerated aging or you want to prevent accelerated aging of the skin, if you have dark spots, acne blemishes, or if you just want to have a nice regular daily dose of vitamin C and vitamin A, you want to check out our Truth Skin Health products. Never any preservatives, fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, silicone, water, nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want in any of our Truth Skin Health products. TruthTreatments.com, TruthTreatments.com. Okay, well, welcome back to The Bright Side, friends. I've been listening to this, all this stuff about the Affordable Health Care Act and how we got to get insurance for everybody and everybody has to be on some kind of insurance program, a government-mandated insurance program, repeal, and replace. I try to avoid listening to the news, but it's just all over the place. I heard Bernie Sanders. I like Bernie Sanders. A little bit crazy. I don't like the idea that he wants to tax people at 90% of their wages or whatever crazy amount he wants to tax people. But I like the guy. I heard him talking about the need to make sure that everyone has drugs. I like the guy, but I don't like his policies. He's so old school. He wants everybody to have drugs. Everybody should have all the medication they need. Everybody should get to see a doctor whenever they want to see a doctor. And Bernie thinks he's helping people. He's a nice guy, probably. He thinks he's helping people. He wants to assure that everybody gets all the pharmaceuticals and all the doctoring they want. Problem is, This whole insurance, ACA, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, is a scam designed and promoted by the pharmaco-medical cartel, and it is formulated specifically to enrich and entrench the medical model in our lives. What happened to nutrition when it comes to healthcare? I don't hear Bernie Sanders talking about everybody getting supplements. I don't hear Bernie Sanders talking about guaranteeing everybody the vitamin C and zinc and yogurt and massages and all the real ways that we can stay healthy. What happened to rest and exercise and emotional strategies, mental strategies, spiritual aspects of bodily and physical wellness? What about our toxic environment? What about the toxicity of prescription drugs? Not just prescription drugs that we take voluntarily, but what about the toxicity of prescription drugs that are dumped into the water supply every day? Do you know there's nearly 2 trillion pounds of animal waste generated by factory farms, most of which is loaded with hormones and antibiotics that are given to livestock that ultimately end up in our water supply? Drugs that supposedly make animals grow faster and keep them from getting sick. Inevitably, these drugs are going to end up in the groundwater and in the water, and we're going to be drinking this stuff. And it's the same with human waste. According to the Harvard Health Newsletter, quote, one man's use of testosterone cream can wind up putting as much hormones into the water as the natural excretions from 300 men, unquote. Water treatment plants and public water agencies, they're great, but they only monitor 80 substances, mostly bacteria, viruses, parasites, and heavy metals, not drugs, not chemicals. Healthcare institutions are also a source of pharmaceutical water pollution. Nursing homes flush their medications down the toilet. Drug manufacturers are also a source of medication pollution of our water. According to research from the U.S. Geological Survey, measurable amounts of medication was found in 80% of the water samples tested. That includes antibiotics, antidepressants, blood thinners, heart medication, ACE inhibitors, calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, digoxin, one of the most toxic prescription chemicals known to man in the water supply, hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, caffeine, cholesterol medications, painkillers, anti-seizure meds. These have all been found in our tap water. According to Scientific American, a 2013 report by the International Joint Commission found that only half of the prescription drugs are removed by treatment plants. The problem is so significant that some cities are actually doing something called sewage epidemiology. Epidemiology is the study, it's the statistical analysis of the patterns of health and disease in specific populations. They're doing something called sewage epidemiology to study the waste, to see how much illegal drugs are in the water, how much illegal drugs, cocaine and ecstasy and heroin and morphine are found in the water supply, all in an effort to aid Big Brother in making sure he enforces narcotic laws. In one study, this was published in the Journal of Environmental Science and Technology in 2014, scientists checked for 6 illegal drugs in 2 water treatment plants in New York State. They found cocaine in 93% of the untreated water samples. Morphine was found in 100%, as well as MDMA, which is also known as ecstasy. And while the EPA and medical professionals, they'll tell you they don't know about the effects. We don't really know if these drugs are harmful in these tiny little amounts, and we need to have more studies. Suzanne Rudzinski, who's the Deputy Director for Science and Technology in the Office of Water at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, she says, quote, "At this point, we don't have evidence of a health effect, although it's an area of concern and one we will continue to look at," unquote. It seems pretty obvious that drinking cocaine and drinking ecstasy and drinking chemotherapy drugs and drinking anti-seizure medication and hormones with your tap water is probably not a good thing. And that doesn't even include the fluoride and the chlorine that are intentionally put in the tap water. Folks, we live in a toxic environment. We breathe toxic air. We eat toxic food. We drink toxic water. And all of this is to say that keeping the body's detoxification systems operating at peak efficiency is absolutely critical if we are to avoid sickness and avoid accelerating aging and early death. We have an incredible detoxification system housed in the liver. It's made up of biochemicals, and like everything else in the body, it requires raw materials to build and to do its work. And that's where glutathione comes in. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. You are listening to The Bright Side. We'll return right after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on our archive pages at brightsideben.com, criticalhealthnews.com, and also pharmacistben.com. We've got blog stories, blog posts, and news stories, as well as videos at all our websites and the longevity products, too. You can purchase longevity products or sign up to join the Brightside Ben team at our websites, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. Our number today, 844-236-6010, 844-236-6010. Got a couple lines open for you. If you have questions about anything we're speaking about here today, or a health challenge you or a loved one may be dealing with, or if you just want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number on the Bright Side. So we've got this incredible detoxification system, mostly housed in the liver. The liver is also a digestive organ, so the more digestive crapola that our liver has to process, the more crappy food we're eating, the harder it's going to be for the liver to work on detoxification. Just another reason to focus on digestive health, no matter what your health challenge is. Focus on digestive health. You also want to make sure you're using supplementation to help build the detoxification system, the liver's detoxification system, and this is where glutathione comes in. Glutathione, the body's master detoxifier. It is unbelievably important if we are going to be protecting ourselves from the toxicity in the environment, toxicity in our foods, and I'm including sugar as a toxin. Sugar will tax or stress the glutathione and detoxification system in the liver. If you want to build glutathione, minimize your intake of medication with the goal of ultimately weaning yourself off. I've said it before, said it many times before. I'll say it again. If you are on prescription drugs, your number one health challenge should be to figure out how to wean yourself off of those medications. And if you're on multiple prescription drugs, it's even more important to focus on weaning yourself off of medication. That's called polypharmacy, being on multiple medication, and some ridiculous amount of older folks especially are on multiple meds. Something like 50 to 60% of people over 65 are on multiple medications, some as many as 5 or 6 or even 10 or 12 medicines. I used to see this in the pharmacy all the time. People would just fill up their plastic bag with their prescription bottles and throw them on the counter. Sometimes 14 or 15 prescription medicines. What kind of healthcare professional is doing this to human beings? One prescription is bad enough, and I'm not Pollyannish about this. I understand there are times you need a prescription drug, but certainly not to be on it long term, and certainly not to be on multiple medications long term if you are interested in building glutathione and protecting the liver and protecting your detoxification system and in staying healthy. Wean yourself off your meds. Figure out what the problem is in the first place, and don't take medication just to lower your test scores. That's how most of us are dosed by prescription drugs, is for risk management, not because we're sick, but just to lower the risk. This is the stupidest thing, the stupidest reason to put somebody on a poison prescription drug, to lower risks. To manipulate statistics. Oh, you take your statin drug and now you have a 5% less chance of having a heart attack. But you still have a prescription drug, and that's going to tax your glutathione, and that's going to stress your liver, and that's going to create all kinds of other health challenges and health problems. Use nutritional supplements. Use foods that help the body make glutathione. Whey protein, for example, loaded with glutathione-building substances. Glutamine is in whey protein. Glutathione itself is in whey protein. Selenium is in whey protein. Zinc is in whey protein. All of these are very important for building the detoxification system or supporting detoxification. And by the way, you don't need permission from your doctor to wean yourself off your meds. Even if your doctor, quote, ordered you to be on a prescription, even if you have doctor's orders to stay on a prescription drug, you don't have to stay on a prescription drug. Now, you do want to keep your doctor in the loop. Always keep your doctor in the loop if he's treating you. It's only fair that you let him know what you're doing. You let him know, I want to wean myself off these medications, and I don't want to take medications just to lower the statistical likelihood of getting some kind of health challenge. Quit smoking, quit alcohol, or at least reduce your exposure to cigarette smoke, reduce your exposure to alcohol, reduce your exposure to non-prescription drugs, whether they're legal or illegal, and that includes cannabis. And I'm not, I understand there's some health benefits to using cannabis, especially if you're in pain. We have CBD oil on our Brightside Health website. I understand there's some health benefits to smoking pot if you're fortunate enough to live in a state where you're allowed to smoke pot, but it's not good for you. Smoking is not good for you. Marijuana is not good for you. Marijuana is not benign. Marijuana is a drug. I'm not saying you have to have zero tolerance for these things, but the less you do it, the better off you're going to be, unless you absolutely need to medicate yourself. If you are going to smoke pot, or if you are going to do prescription drug or illegal drugs, or prescription drugs for that matter, it becomes extra important that you support your glutathione system. It becomes extra important that you use glutamine, that you use vitamin C, that you use selenium. These are all very important for building glutathione. Reduce your sugar intake. I cannot stress this enough. Reduce your sugar intake. Sugar puts an added stress on the body. Sugar stimulates and ultimately depletes glutathione production. Sugar will stress the liver, and artificial sweeteners are just as bad. Maybe not just as bad, but they're bad too. And then use your nutritional building blocks: glycine, glutamine, whey protein, selenium, sulfur, vitamin C, vitamin E. Don't forget your N-acetylcysteine. Building glutathione is one of, if not the most important detox strategies for anyone who's regularly interacting with poisons, and that means all of us. If we're drinking water, we're interacting with toxins that glutathione is responsible for purifying. Get yourself on an NAC supplement. It's inexpensive. It's ridiculously cheap. $10 for a month's supply, or even more, depending on how much you use. Use about 400 milligrams to 800 milligrams a day. If you're exposing yourself to toxins, you probably want a little bit more. And always take a little bit of selenium with your NAC. Selenium works like a little battery to activate the glutathione molecule. NAC is a raw material for glutathione, but NAC's got its own benefits. NAC has got some crazy, crazy benefits. Yes, it's a raw material for building glutathione, but it is on its own perhaps the most or at least one of the most multifunctional of all nutritional supplements. NAC is very important as a brain. This is kind of new. We've only really known about this for the last 5 or 10 years. NAC is very important for brain health. It protects against excitotoxins. It protects against glutamate. It protects against addiction. It protects against obsessive compulsive disorders. There's cardiovascular, heart health benefits to supplementing with NAC. NAC is an anti-stress supplement. It helps mitigate the effects of emotional stresses and mental stresses. And that means good things for your cardiovascular system and for your blood vessels. If you have hypertension, NAC can help you with high blood pressure. High blood pressure is so recognized for its connection to the sympathetic nervous system, the body's stress nervous system, that before the advent of these antihypertensive drugs, blood pressure type drugs, beta blockers and diuretics and such, which really didn't come out until maybe the 1940s or 1950s, they used to do surgeries where they actually cut the sympathetic nervous system to lower blood pressure. So doctors and medical professionals have known that the sympathetic nervous system, the stress nervous system, is related to hypertension for 80 years or more. If you have hypertension, calming the body down is key, is critical. And N-acetylcysteine can be very helpful in this regard, as with all of our relaxation strategies that we talk about here on the Bright Side. In fact, I was reading an article this morning. I'll tell you about that when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to the Bright Side. Got lines open. We'll get to your phone calls in our next segment. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we are back on the Bright Side. Pharmacist Ben here. 844-236-6010 is our number. We got lines open for you, and we will get your calls here in just a minute, so hang on. 844-236-6010 is the number if you have questions about the longevity products, longevity business, if you have questions about NAC or detoxification or anything we're speaking about here today. If you or a loved one is dealing with a health challenge and you need help, or if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we can help you do that. 844-236-6010 is our number on the Bright Side. So I got this article this morning I thought was kind of interesting. This is from Boston University School of Medicine, How Yoga Works. It's actually published in the journal Medical Hypothesis. Yoga works by regulating the nervous system, by increasing something called vagal tone. Vagal tone is the body's represents the biological correlate of how we handle stress. The vagal nervous system is the so-called rest and digest nervous system, or the parasympathetic nervous system, which balances out the stress nervous system. And as it turns out, vagal tone is increased by yoga. Study titled "The Effects of Yoga on the Autonomic Nervous System, GABA, and Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder." When the vagus nerve is toned and functioning, we feel it in multiple different ways. Our digestion improves, our heart functions optimally, and our moods stabilize. And that's from doing yoga. How much does yoga cost? Nothing. How easy is it to do yoga? You just put on a little DVD and just do yoga in your bedroom or in your living room. By the way, don't use those fancy schmancy yoga pants either. Research shows that yoga pants, as well as other sportswear, can have all kinds of nasty chemicals in them. Dimethylformamide and nonylphenol ethoxylates and nonylphenols and perfluorinated chemicals. These are all found in sportswear. So just wear regular little cotton shorts and a t-shirt when you're doing your yoga. More yoga news here. This is from the journal Clinical Research and Bioethics. Yoga has beneficial effects on patients with chronic diseases and improves immune functions. Yoga, by the way, comes from the Sanskrit word to yoke. In the old days, they used yoga to connect to God or to connect to spirituality. And speaking of spirituality, that's another great way to leverage good health, by making sure that you're focusing on spiritual verities. It doesn't have to be religious. Just focus on the divine force. Focus on the divine force that runs the body, that works the cells, that runs the liver. There's something magical and divine everywhere we look. From the stars in the sky to the cells of our body, there is a divinity and a spiritual nature to reality and to life that we miss. And it costs us. It costs us in our mental health. It costs us in our biological health, our physical well-being. Focusing on spirituality is deeply, deeply important. I know this is a this is a nutritional supplement show, but if we're going to really be serious about taking care of health, we've got to focus on not just the spiritual dimension of health, or not just the spiritual dimension of life, but also the mental and emotional dimensions as well. SMEP, spiritual, mental, emotional, and then physical. All right, one more study here. This one's from Columbia University Medical Center. Parkinson's disease is partly an autoimmune disease. How do you like that? Where have you heard that before? Parkinson's disease, like all inflammatory issues, are immune issues. The inflammatory system, which is known to be involved in every single chronic degenerative disease you can name, is part of the immune system. It is so obvious. It's hidden in plain sight. Chronic degenerative diseases are all inflammatory in nature. Inflammation means defense. Defense means offense. You don't have a defensive response unless you have an offensive stimulus. First you have an offensive stimulus, then you have a defensive/inflammatory response, and then you get a chronic disease. That means that all chronic diseases involve some kind of offending agent. And given the fact that we put food into our system every day, multiple times a day, it's a very good shot, a very good chance that that offending agent is coming in through something that we're eating. Why is that important? Because by controlling our foods and controlling our eating behaviors, we can in large part quell, quench, quiet down, suppress the inflammatory response that leads to all chronic degenerative diseases. It's not a medical issue. It's a lifestyle issue. All right, 844-236-6010 is our number. Time to hit the phones. Let's go to Todd in Austin. Good morning, Todd. Welcome to the Bright Side.
Hey, Ben. Thanks for taking my call. My question's about myositis. We've got a loved one that has been diagnosed in the past few months, and her stage is where she can't lift her arms really above her shoulder.
Oh, geez. How old is she?
Quick.
How old is she?
50s.
Okay, and you say came on quick. That means she noticed it quickly.
Yeah, she finally went to the doctor, and then since she went to the doctor, the symptoms started getting stronger, and she noticed she had some muscle issues with lifting some of her arms.
That's all myositis is. It's a muscle issue. Itis, I-T-I-S, always means inflammation. Like arthritis is inflammation of the joints. Bursitis is inflammation of the bursa, which is part of the muscle, etc. Itis means inflammation. Myo means muscle. So when you get diagnosed with myositis, that's a Latin way of saying you've got inflammation in the muscle, period. This is what doctors do. They come up with a Latin way of a Latin term to describe what you're suffering from, and then they put it into the computer and they code you, and you pay insurance premiums and get based on whatever that diagnosis was. You get prescription drugs and medical protocols based on this Latin designation. So she goes to the doctor and says, I got pain in my muscles, and he in turn turns that into a Latin descriptor and says, oh, you have pain in your muscles, but he says it in Latin. And then you think you got your money's worth. Congratulations. This is the stupidity of the medical model. They take what you know is true, put it in Latin, and then all of a sudden, and then they bill you for it, and they give you a medical protocol. Myositis, inflammation of the muscle. Inflammation, as we just said, we were just talking about, is always a defensive response. It's part of the healing process, actually. Inflammation is how the body heals. You know, we're conditioned to think that inflammation is some kind of bad thing because it does cause unpleasant symptoms, but the fact of the matter is inflammation is part of the body's protective response. It's part of the healing. There's no healing without inflammation. So first of all, that tells you how stupid anti-inflammatory drugs are because they suppress healing. And secondly, it tells you that the body is trying to do something. The body is trying to protect itself. So you say, well, what is it trying to protect itself from? Well, it could be chronic tears in the muscle, but more than likely what's happening is toxins are being dumped off into the muscles. When we get toxins in the blood, the body will look for places to dump those toxins off. And the primary place where those toxins get dumped off is in the connective tissue and in the muscle, which are basically they're wrapped around each other. So myositis is an inflammatory condition of the muscle secondary to toxicity. Now, your friend noticed it suddenly, but it was building up at underneath critical threshold for years. If she's 50 and she's a typical American, a typical human being, she's probably doing all the typical things. That means eating the typical food, preserved food, processed food, as well as sugar foods, not getting enough nutritional supplementation, not getting her detoxification supplements. This is how we live our life. So what do you do? First of all, focus on digestive health, because this is where the stream of toxins that enters into the body through the bloodstream begins. So focusing on eliminating problem foods, I would be doing a Swear-O-V cleanse. Chances are, once she does her Swear-O-V cleanse or fasts for 2 or 3 days, she's going to start to feel better, because that stream of toxicity that's entering into the blood through the digestive system will stop as she stops eating. Hang on, don't go away, Todd. I got some more ideas for you. Muscles are also, there's a lot of fat in there too, so using your fatty supplements is also important. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We will return right after this. Don't go away. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. Got lines open for you. We're talking to Todd in Austin, Texas. Hey, Todd, you there?
I am here.
Okay, so myositis is inflammation in the muscle. And by the way, if you're working out a lot, you may not have a technical diagnosis of myositis, but you still may be dealing with inflammatory issues in the muscle. So all the strategies that I'm going to give you here can be helpful for folks who are working out a lot. Number one, focus on digestive health. Always backtrack to the digestive system. Toxicity that enters into the blood through the digestive tract can ultimately make its way into the muscle, and this can create an inflammatory response. So focus on digestive health. Use your ultimate nightly essence and apple cider vinegar with meals, and digestive enzymes. You take some digestive enzymes with your meals as well as on an empty stomach for all inflammatory issues. The ultimate enzymes can help break up clogs, inflammatory clogs, so that may provide a little pain relief there. Alpha lipoic acid is one of the all-time great muscle supplements. Again, not just for your friend Todd, but anybody out there who's working out a lot or who's gets sore muscles. Using alpha lipoic acid can be very helpful. Alpha lipoic acid is an antioxidant that, unlike other antioxidants, is both works on the fatty part of the body as well as the watery part of the body. It has, it's the only antioxidant I know of that has a significant effect on both the water phase and the fatty phase in the body. 400 or so milligrams a day. I would be using vitamin E every day, at least 400 international units of vitamin E a day. Look for the mixed tocopherols or mixed tocotrienols form. Vitamin C is also helpful for all inflammatory health issues. She should be doing a couple of grams of that a day. You'll get about 1,000 milligrams in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. It wouldn't be a bad idea for her to be sipping on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine all day. Make sure she's using her Ultimate EFAs. Essential fatty acids are the building blocks of the inflammatory and anti-inflammatory system in the body. So make sure she's using her Ultimate EFAs on a regular basis. Stretching can also help. This is why yoga is so important, because basically it's a form of stretching. Even though she doesn't feel like stretching, she probably, like you say, she can't get her arm over her head. Any kind of stretching that she can do, if she can bust through that pain without hurting herself, of course, any kind of stretching can help. And that's also true for anybody who's dealing with neuropathies as well. So for neuropathies or muscle issues, doing some stretching, helping build the connective tissue and increasing blood supply to the inflamed area can be very helpful. Let me see if there's anything else I want to tell you about. Good source of protein is probably a good idea. Whey protein, if she can handle it. Hemp seed protein, if she can't handle it. Hemp seed protein is a much gentler and benign source of protein than whey is, but it doesn't have the same building nutrients. Last but not least, everything we talked about for building glutathione can help anytime you have any kind of inflammatory or chronic inflammatory health issue. Chances are she's got other health challenges. Most people don't just develop myositis. In addition to the aforementioned digestive strategies, she might want to focus on blood sugar, as well as any kind of adrenal stresses, working on adrenal health, as well as working on the blood sugar system can probably help her there as well. Hope that helps you out, Todd. Helps your friend out, too. We've got to motivate. Anything else you want to ask?
That's great. We'll give it a shot. Thanks so much.
Okay, Todd. Take care, buddy. All right. Let's go to Wesley in Idaho. Good morning, Wes. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, Ben. I'm reading a book, Primal Nutrition.
Mark Sisson?
Naturopath Ron Schmidt.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Okay, it's basically kind of an update, overview of Weston Price.
Okay.
What I want to point out, individuals on strictly vegan diets may thrive for several weeks or months or even years, but in the vast majority of cases, problems including mental illness eventually appear. Now, that was in this book, and I wondered, does anybody else see this? So I put it into Google, and what I get, healtheatingharbor.com, women's health magazine.com, psychologytoday.com, the tab.com from UK, and they cite studies by the University of Hildesheim in Germany, the University of Graz in Australia, and yeah, they're all saying that the vegans more likely to suffer from mental disorders. Study finds. I wanted your comment. Like I said, it's on the internet. I read it in this book, and I thought, gosh, is there anybody else that thinks this way? Here's these two studies.
Well, I can't say specifically about the mental health aspect, but I can tell you that if you are on a vegan diet, you're going to be depriving yourself of some very important mental or brain health nutrients, specifically the vitamin B12, which is only found in animal products for the most part. And by the way, if you are a vegan, use seaweed. Eat lots of seaweed and sea vegetation. That's a great way to make sure that you're getting some of the nutrients, the amino acids, and the vitamin B12 that you would ordinarily be getting from animal products. The vegan diet, philosophically, I can see the point of not eating meat. I'm not a big meat eater myself, and I could see why people would philosophically be opposed to meat. From a health perspective, if you make sure your meat is good, it's not hormone meat and antibiotic meat and McDonald's meat and processed meat, etc. It's definitely one of the most valuable and nutritionally dense foods you'll ever eat. From a philosophical standpoint, eating animals, dead animals, etc., I could see why vegans would have a problem with that. However, if you are a vegan, it becomes extra important that you get on a good nutritional supplement program and you use foods that contain things like vitamin B12 and iron and amino acids, all the amino acids, and that's where seaweed comes in. If If you're a pescatarian, that's probably a little bit better. Of course, then you're eating fish, which, maybe vegans have a problem with that. It's tough if you're going to be a vegan, but it's not impossible. You just got to make sure that you're focusing on supplementing and eating nutrient-dense foods like seaweed. All right, Wes, I want to get a couple more calls in. Thank you so much for your call. Appreciate it, and thanks for doing the research. I love when my listeners do research. I love my smart listeners. If you're listening to this program, you are qualified and pre-qualified to be smarter than the average bear, because we don't dumb things down on the bright side. All right, let's go to Will in Missouri. Good morning, Will. Welcome to the bright side.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, I actually first time ever hearing your voice came through in the static 1380 that I had down here in Washington. So it was pretty amazing. You were talking about topics that have been important to me, especially in the last year.
Okay, I'm glad you joined us. I hope you'll join us again.
Yeah. Well, my question for you is, I've been kind of everything kind of fell apart January last year. I had an e-cigarette that I was using, it exploded.
Ooh.
And I was pretty badly burned.
Oh, my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I've been dealing with a lot of, I guess, from what I found out recently was PTSD issues, and I didn't realize it.
Are you military or military stuff? Or?
No. But apparently this is, because I didn't think it was, it was a problem, but apparently it's, PTSD doesn't necessarily have to be.
No, it doesn't. Any kind of trauma.
No,
any kind of trauma, post-traumatic stress syndrome, any kind of trauma can do it. You know what, Will, we only got about a minute, and I hate to cut you off, and I hate to speed through. Do you have a quick question, or do you want to call back?
Yeah, well, just real quick. Ultimately, what I was looking for was the input on thyroid. Doctors done TSH screenings, and they've all come back normal. However,
you don't feel good. Yeah. The tests are silly. They don't work. Yeah. You go by your symptoms, and that's one of the. I know you're new to the program, but one of the hallmarks of what I call the bright side philosophy is your tests don't matter. You matter. You're the test. How you feel matters. Forget your TSH scores and your reverse thyroid hormone scores and whatever testing they're doing. If your hair is coming out, you feel fatigued all the time, and your skin is dry, and your body temperature is low. And by the way, if you go to brightsidehealth.com, check out my blog post on testing your body temperature for thyroid, doing the basal thermometer test. You might get some good information. The thyroid is the jumping off point, or low thyroid functioning, poor thyroid functioning is the jumping off point to all chronic health challenges. Poor thyroid function follows excess adrenal stress. So if you're dealing with PTSD, it makes perfect sense that you would be hypothyroid no matter what your TSH score is. So here's a couple strategies for you. First and foremost, practice slow, deep breathing every single day, multiple times a day, ideally. Slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. Very important for slowing down the adrenal glands and also for the PTSD. If you have a hot tub, that's great, or even taking hot baths and hot showers can help you. Making sure you're restricting or limiting the amount of sugar that you eat and using nutrients that help the body process sugar. Zinc, selenium, sulfur. Get on the longevity sweeties. I wish I had more time. I only got 30 seconds here, Will. I would love it if you could call us back on our next Brightside episode, or if you want, you can send an email to ben@ksco.com and put your phone number in there, and I'll answer your question. I'll talk to you personally. And I apologize. We're just out of time. Thanks for listening to The Bright Side, friends. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have a wonderful, beautiful, spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.
Register.